broadcasting and podcasting 438 miles between each other. You're listening to the fifth quarter podcast. Glad to have you with us on this October Thursday afternoon. Again, I'm your co-host George Koff here in College Station, along with my friend Desmond McLaughlin in Lubbock. We don't have as big of a guest at all, even a guest at all this week. Again, we want to thank Sam Kahn for joining us last week. But this week we are just the dynamic duo as the fifth quarter podcast. So again, glad to have you with us as we break down the A&M Arkansas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, the top 25, some postseason, MLB postseason picks and more. Desmond, you ready to get into this?
I'm ready, George. Let's get to it.
Well, before we get to it, Desmond, what's the weather like in Lubbock? I know sometimes it can be hot or muggy. Is it cool?
Well,
Is it cool a little bit?
Yeah, it's pretty cool right now. I actually think it might rain later. When I was walking back to my dorm, I had a little slight drizzle. So we'll just have to see what's gonna happen.
Hey, that would be always nice. Lubbock's got to get that rain so it's not as dry, right? Especially since y'all are kicking off at 11 this week against Oklahoma State, but we'll get to that. And as Desmond said, let's get it, and I think that's a great way to start. So A&M and Arkansas, they kicked off at 11 a.m., and it looked like they both had a ginormous breakfast last week because they just did not start off on the right note. Regardless of that, A&M somehow was able to get another win, stop on fourth down to get the 31-27 victory. A straight win over the Arkansas Piggies. It wasn't pretty. The offense had many issues, but I guess the defensive side, it was dominant. We did a pretty good job. Again, we stopped them on fourth down on that final drive, forced an interception, but then returned to turn it over with a fumble on the next immediate play. And we made them punt when it mattered. Mond, again, like I mentioned on the offensive, it had lots of issues, but he wasn't necessarily the problem. He was 23 for 35, 65% completion rating, 251 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, and he had 33 rushing yards. But this time, Desmond, he was not the leading rusher for the Aggies. That was Isaiah Spiller who was the leading rusher. Overall, I really thought that Anaya Smith, he's a true freshman, the receiver, the youngest receiver in that receiving core, was able to get it done with Courtney Davis, had 2 touchdowns for the Aggies. And, sometimes they say it ain't pretty, but if you win, a win is a win. You get the job done. You go on that business trip, as you would call it, and keep moving forward. What about your thoughts?
Well, I just think that their bye week's definitely good because I'm not gonna lie, I was keeping a track of the college football scores, and I did see that A&M Arkansas was pretty close. I was like, wonder how George is feeling about this because Arkansas is not very strong. He's been talking about the streak they have winning against Arkansas, and I was like, ooh, are we gonna see a little upset here? But they stuck it out, so that's good. But this bye is gonna be good, getting ready for arguably one of the best teams in college football.
Indeed, yeah, and as Desmond mentioned, not one of the best teams, if not the best team. We'll get to Clemson in a second, but it brings up an ominous 1 versus 25 matchup next week as the Alabama Crimson Tide travel to College Station to take on the Aggies. As 25 ranked Aggies, that's a big surprise because, quite honestly, I thought we'd drop out of the AP poll completely. But I guess they kind of want to keep us in the pool for Alabama, so then Alabama can say they had a ranked opponent victory. We'll talk about that game more as we get there, but of course this bye week could not have come at a better time. Jimbo and company really need to regroup, figure out what hasn't worked, what's worked, how do we improve what hasn't worked, how do we do it in a manner that we can really be successful against the Alabama defense. And I think the Ole Miss film that against Alabama this past weekend shows a lot of gaps that the Alabama defense had. They allowed 31 points to Ole Miss. 31. That's quite a bit. I mean, that's a lot when you're talking about Alabama. Now, granted, Alabama scored 59, so it's not like they were outscored. But I think it shows that if you can find those gaps and those inches at the beginning and you man down on defense, there should be no reason that this game does not go the Aggies' way if that happens. And we saw it against Auburn. A&M had an opportunity to sneak one there even in the last closing minutes, and of course Auburn got the job done and did what they had to do. But as for this week, I don't have to stress about the Aggie football game. Don't have to get stress levels. Get to be a true college football fan and sit back on the couch, kind of watch what's going to happen on Saturday. Watch these bigger games we'll get to here in a few, later in the show. But Desmond, my question for you before we close the conversation on Aggies, on the Aggie game, what does the bye week mean for you? For the Aggies, do you think this bye week, what does that have as an impact on your players?
Well, obviously, it's rest. It's a good time. Take a week off. Not saying maybe a little lighter practices, but it's just a good time. Get some rest. Sit down, watch a lot of film, watch what's going on in the league, and definitely prepare yourself for the next game, and also look at what you're doing wrong. I think that's a big thing, is that it gives you time to release. It gives the coach time to sit back, look at what you're doing wrong, fix it, and then get ready for the next game.
I think the key word there is fixing it. You can't just say, okay, we do this wrong, we're going to just keep doing it wrong because we don't have enough time to fix it. That's what the bye week's for. The bye week has that opportunity to make that anew. So we'll see if the bye week pays off. Of course, Bama also has a bye week this week, and sometimes having the bye week for Bama hasn't always worked, but we'll see what happens there as that game is next week. More on that as we get to next week. All right, Desmond. I said this earlier. Texas Tech, Oklahoma. Let's just call this a disaster. Let's just move on. I know you have some thoughts, but quite honestly, let's just move on. What do you have to say?
George, I knew we would lose. I didn't think we were going to lose that bad, but I told you it was going to be a blowout. What I'm mostly mad about, first off, the coaches. I'm mad at the coaches. I know it's his first season. I know it's a little early, but based off what I've seen so far, I respect the guy, but I don't like Coach Wells' attitude right now. I mean, George, the play calling. First off, why did he not start Jet Duffy? Jet Duffy has experience. I told Mr. Khan last week he did not play bad against good teams like Texas and OU last year. No, I know he did play most of the game, but why did he not start? They started Jackson Tyner. He goes in there, 1 for 5.
Not start?
Exactly.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he didn't. They put in Jackson Tyner. Offense was going nowhere. He threw for 2 yards out of 5 passes. So then they put Jet Duffy in. We score. We get a field goal. I know we're getting some points up. Jet Duffy did not play that bad. He didn't play exceptional. I think he threw like 11 for 20. That's not bad. All right.
No, that's what, 55%. That's not bad at all.
That's not bad. It's just that it's not Jalen Hurts combining 485 yards, 4 touchdowns, and CeeDee Lamb, 3 touchdowns, 185 yards off 7 receptions.
But it's just crazy.
It's insane. Respect that because he's from the Richmond area, which is I live, but still don't like that it's against us. But it's the off the play calling, George. You know how many times it would be 3rd and long, and we ran the ball on 3rd and long. It's almost like they gave up. That's what I don't like.
Mike Sherman's A&M offense from years ago. I mean, I know what you're feeling. It just doesn't. It almost seems like you're just giving up. Like you mentioned, you're just giving in. You're saying, okay, let's give the ball back to Jalen Hurts and go down another score.
They ended up at the end of the game when they put the 3rd string quarterback in. That's when I posted that SpongeBob meme that I'm a head out. Because when you gotta put your 3rd string quarterback in Oklahoma, that's how you know it's game. I was like, I'm a head out.
I hope you don't. I hope you don't head out halfway through our podcast today, Desmond. That would be awful.
Nah.
I'm a head out and just leave me be the one to to talk about college football with a blank screen. So that is one of my favorite memes these last
Yeah,
few weeks. It's just one of those
but
perfect where you just go.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm unsure about going to the game this week. I'm a huge fan. I'm just that makes me mad. Is that they kind of just gave up. But I probably will go. But that just upsets me. Um, I
I
actually have
agree, but
Texas. I actually have Tech winning. I have big hopes. I've kept my fantasy hopes up, even though Oklahoma State did almost beat Texas.
okay.
But
Well,
I'm going big. I'm going big.
here's the thing I wanted to mention was that the Red Raiders get the second half of the Oklahoma polka, is if you want to call it. You don't want to call it a Texas two-step because that's or Oklahoma two-step because that's the Texas two-step, but Oklahoma polka with Oklahoma State back to back, and Oklahoma State's definitely better than OK this season, and Desmond, I have to disagree with you. I just don't have any confidence in Tech. I mean, I know you get blown out by Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is a very good team, but at some point you have to just you have to you have to start doing things at the end of a blowout to show that you're going to be able to bounce back. And I didn't see anything from Tech doing that. So I got the Oklahoma State Cowboys by 21, actually 48-27. And what did you say you had Texas Tech by? You had Texas Tech winning the
By
game?
14. Yeah, 35-21.
A kid can only dream, right? A kid can only
I
dream.
can only dream.
That game is at 11 a.m., as I mentioned earlier, on FS1 in Lubbock, and Oklahoma State is a 10-point favorite. If that doesn't say much about what Texas Tech, they started out so strong, and they just are plummeting. They're plummeting faster than people going down the summit of Mount Everest.
I was going through the schedule, and I think I predicted us going 5-7, which is the exact same record we had last year.
So maybe it's not the head coaching, maybe it's talent.
Maybe, possibly, yeah.
We'll
But even then,
discuss that.
even in some of those games, I kind of just threw us in there, even though we probably won't win.
Well, we'll talk about that more next week. I know, or on a week here where Texas Tech has a bye week. Should have talked about that last week, but regardless, again, Texas Tech is sitting at 2-3. Is that correct? It's been 2-3.
Yes, we won the
Or
first two
2-2.
games. No. We lost
Maybe
to
2-2.
We lost to Oklahoma. We lost to Arizona. So yeah, 2-2.
So that's it. 2-2.
Yeah.
Okay, so 500.
Yeah.
Speaking of being 500 and having two losses, let's talk about the top 25. The Pac-12, you still have a chance for a one-loss champion, but quite honestly, I don't think that's even going to be close enough to keep them in the college football playoff conversation. Because of the SEC's dominance, and I guess Big 12 even kind of on the come up, we'll be honest. That top of the Big 12 might have a chance to put two teams in if both teams are undefeated or one loss going into the Big 12 championship game. We finally saw that the Clemson Tigers are beatable. I mean, I feel like that aggravated every single college football fan across the nation. I love Mac Brown's guts to go for it go for two when he scored the game-tying touchdown. But the play calling,
Thank you.
The play call. What type of play call is that?
I was in Buffalo Wild Wings watching the game, and the first thing that pissed me off is that they had freaking I don't even know what games they had on the big screens. Clemson was on a small screen, the farthest away, and I was like, hold up, Clemson might lose. Why is this not on the big screen? So I had to walk all the way over there, halfway across the freaking restaurant to go watch the game. And so when they scored, I was telling my cousin, I was like, they honestly should go for two because I don't think they stood a chance in overtime against Clemson.
Agreed. I think it was the right move. But then the play call,
exactly an option. Are you kidding me?
You've been dominating the pass game the entire game. And you go to the run game, you go to the option, to a pitch or some sort. Desmond, I have never played a single down of organized football in my life, but I can tell you that just did not work. That just was not going to work
Yeah,
even when
I
it was
don't
play
even know.
called.
Clemson was not fooled. An option. Oh my! I would have rather him just toss it up to a receiver and hope that he catches it.
Ay, ay, ay. Well, regardless, obviously, this game, even though it was on a small little TV at Buffalo Wild Wings, made a huge impact in the week because the AP voters downgraded Clemson to the second best team in the nation, put Bama up top at number one. Mac Brown is obviously using what he has talent-wise and doing something special in North Carolina. I guess this just shows that he can still coach. He still knows how to coach. Now, granted, he has said that the offense, he's not calling the plays. The offensive play calling is not him. He's kind of just overseeing things. So I bet he was not happy, and he has lots up his bag of tricks, but up his sleeve. But I guarantee you that was not him. That was not even close to
Yeah.
being him. Um, so hopefully they'll bounce back against Georgia Tech this week. SMU, the Mustangs, might actually be my new favorite team. I'm not going to say they're my small school. I've already gone with Wyoming, but they're looking really good. They're looking with a chance that they could contend with UCF in the American Conference. You heard it here first. SMU will be the Group of Five representative for the New Year's Six Bowls. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know if you know, my dad did coach at SMU track and field. So
Okay.
I've always had a soft spot for them. And I can see that honestly because they have a really good chance of going undefeated. Happy they're top 25. Congrats to them. You know, they beat TCU last week. I was happy about that, and I hope they go undefeated.
We'll see. I believe they get Tulsa this week with an opportunity to stay in the top 25 and go to 6-0. Again, they're ranked in the top 25 for the first time since 1984, Desmond.
Yeah.
1984. Do you know what was happening in 1984? I don't know.
1980.
I mean, I wasn't even close to being conceived or alive.
I I don't know. Isn't that a book by George Orwell?
Oh yeah, it is 1984 by George Orwell. Yes, with the Big Brother, with the
Yeah.
always watching you or something like that. Golly, I guess that shows that how uncultured we are about the 80s.
Honestly.
Well, let's keep moving here. The SEC, the SEC basement, the cellar. The worst part about the SEC is really bad. It's just
Mm.
horrible. South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Like, come on, get your act together. Let's play better. Um, Second place in the Big 12 is wide open. I mean, Baylor, Texas, Oklahoma State,
I
TCU.
I can see that, but I still think it's Texas to lose. And I think TCU might be up there too, but I think Texas will probably take it.
I mean, I feel like that's what everyone's saying, but I feel like it's still wide open because we have all these teams that they're still going to have to play Oklahoma at some point. And so you, as long as they keep winning and keep winning, you have an opportunity to maybe force a tiebreaker of some sort or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, And then, of course, Wake Forest. Speaking of first timer, Wake Forest is in the top 25 for the first time since 2008. See, that's something we can relate to a little bit. You know,
Hmm.
2008 was the first time I went to a big sporting event. My first ever Rangers game was that year. That was a good year, 2008, when everyone was solid in just about everything. A&M was pretty decent. Bama wasn't good, or if they were, it was without Saban at that point because he was still at LSU. The good old days, right? 2008.
Yeah.
We were 9. If you do the math right, that's crazy. Not even double digits, Desmond. not even not even in our teens.
Was that
Oklahoma.
was that that was that Tebow? Was that the Tebow's days? Or
That might
no?
have been actually. Maybe that was
Yeah.
5. No, I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know.
we really need a research department here with the fifth quarter. You know, we need to have somebody telling us what's.
Can I say one thing about just the top 10 or top
Go
5?
for it.
I do not agree with it, George.
I am with you on that.
Okay, here's my top 5, and I know people might think I'm crazy. Number 1, Ohio State. I think Ohio State's been dominant. I think they're the only team right now that hasn't shown that they have flaws.
I agree.
I would put Alabama at 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna put LSU at 3.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I was really shaky about that. Then I'll put Clemson.
4.
Clemson.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna put Oklahoma.
5.
I'll put Oklahoma
At 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, if you're putting me, you'll put me on the spot here for my top 5. I would also go Ohio State number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I would take Bama number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I would slot Oklahoma actually at number 3.
Ooh.
And then Clemson as the 4, and I'll push LSU down to number 5. And here's why. Oklahoma. Oh, hold on. Before I explain mine, you go first. Why you have LSU at 3? I like the bold move, but I don't know if I have that much confidence in Joe Burrow and the Tigers yet.
They looked good when they played out. Okay, so a lot of it has to be based off how good Texas actually is. Because if Texas is as good as the hype is, they played really good against them. And were pretty dominant. And they've been putting up 50-plus points every single week. But if Texas isn't as good as the hype, then that win isn't as good, and maybe I'll throw Georgia in there instead.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about Georgia. We're kind of forgetting about Georgia here.
Yeah.
And even that, I might actually change number 5 to Georgia instead of LSU. For me, Oklahoma, yes, they haven't played anybody, in quotes, because, they've played UCLA. They've played, I'm trying to think who their non-conference schedule was. They've played kind of not so great teams, or teams that have kind of been on the losing end of things.
Yeah.
But Houston and such, but they have dominated every single game. They haven't won games close. They've won games by huge margin.
Yeah, I guess so. The Houston game was kind of close.
To a certain degree, but not as close. I mean, not as big as some of these other games. You're right, but it was also still very big. They got 45 points up, I think, on Houston's defense, which is not saying much, but. I still think that they have the best quarterback in the country, let alone the best player in the country.
Yeah, without doubt.
Bama is so good. I almost could say Ohio State 1, Oklahoma 2, Bama 3, Clemson 4. We have to give Clemson at least a chance to play for the title. And even if they only get one win over a ranked opponent the rest of the season, if they're still undefeated, you still have to give them a chance, especially if they're the reigning national champs. Right. Whatever happens in that semifinal, of course, happens, but you have to give them a chance. And I think I'm surprised that Justin Fields is doing as well as he is at Ohio State, but I'm just right now the top. Let's just make it the top 10. The top 10 is wide open. You've got an Auburn team that has an opportunity. Yeah. You have a Florida team that has an opportunity. You have a Wisconsin team. We're forgetting about Wisconsin here. Wisconsin has a team that could make it, and they've got a big matchup with Michigan later in the season that may decide Michigan's fate if they continue to stay on a pace there. So I think this top 10, this is one of the closest top 10s we've had in a while. And the closest I can remember is what?
Michigan.
What'd you say? Oh.
Overrated.
Oh, yeah. Well, hail to the victor, saying overrated. Go, go, Michigan. Something along those lines. All those Michigan haters are going to be in our tweets, whatever. Anyway, I just think that this top 10 might be the best top 10 we've had, or closest in like teams, like resume wise, since maybe 2011. That year that we had, what was it, LSU and Bama, and all those LSU, Bama, Auburn, Ohio, was it Ohio State or was it Michigan? I trying to remember. Oregon was somewhere in there. It was that top 10 that just kept changing, or maybe it was even 2008. That may have been 2008 when that Big 12 was just changing. So this is a competitive top 10, and I think it will almost be like the first teams to lose are going to start getting knocked out, and we're going to it'll be whoever remains undefeated or whoever remains with a very close loss, like a 1-2 point loss. I feel like we're getting off the topic here of other things, but speaking of losses, A&M is still the only 2-loss team that is ranked. And I think if they do take a loss to Bama, of course, we shouldn't see them ranked the rest of the season, even if they went out. I just don't think, maybe. But so yeah, we'll check back in on the top 5, top 10, and I feel like this. Go ahead.
It's gonna be Bama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Ohio State.
Is that your locks? Is that your
Yeah.
So if they do make it, you can say I told you so.
October 3rd. October 3rd, 1:27 p.m.
Okay. I just think that this type of top 10 is the reason why we need an expanded playoff, because all these teams should have an opportunity to play for a national championship, not just the 4 that are the best deserving or best, like that there may be teams that are better, that, you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
Like this is the type of top 10 that should be given the opportunity to win. It's almost like sounds like somebody's vacuuming. Regardless, we're going to get to our MLB postseason predictions here, and we're going to try to make this a little bit quicker so we can get to the games of the week. We finally got the wild card game. And so we now have our ALDS and NLDS finalized. And the first ALDS is what they're calling the Orange Juice. The Orange Juice, I guess, series between the Tampa Bay Rays, who play at Tropicana Field, and the Houston Astros, who play at Minute Maid Park. Minute Maid, Tropicana, Orange Juice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Take it for whatever you want. Home field advantage is for the Astros. Desmond, who do you have and why?
Astros in 4. H-Town, baby. Best pitchers in the league.
Yeah, I've got actually the Astros in a sweep. I think that Greinke, Verlander, and Cole, who it's starting, that's who's starting games 1, 2, and 3, not in that order, are just too good. And I don't know. I don't see the Rays being able to compete. So I'll take the Astros. And this, again, coming from a Rangers fan who does not like to root for the Astros. All right. I'm taking the Astros in the sweep. The other ALDS is Twins and Yankees. This is like Lakers Celtics type postseason rivalry. These two teams have always played. It seems like in the postseason, whenever they do, both end up in the postseason, they end up playing. I got the Bomba squad, the guys that can hit dingers. Give me the Twins, and just goes to a decisive Game 5. I guess that would be my upset of the postseason.
Yeah, as I say, I had Yankees in 4.
Okay.
We said Bomber Squad. I thought you were talking about Judge and Stanton and Encarnacion. I thought.
No, I'm talking about the Bomba. The Bomba.
I thought you meant Bomber, like bomb.
It's Nelson Cruz and what's the other, Marwin Gonzalez, and there's another guy, young rookie who's going off. Yeah, the Bomba. The beady Bomba. You gotta get that Hispanic flair. All right, going too hard there, but yes, I think they'll win it in 5. So on the National League, so we'll do all the American League and we'll go to the National League. So that would leave my prediction, which would be Twins Astros in the ALCS. be dingers versus dingers. You got the Bomba squad, but you also got the guys that just hit dingers. So I've got the best team in baseball. And again, Desmond, I don't know. I just don't see them a contest. I got the Astros in another sweep.
Oh,
So
dang.
that would be 8 wins in 8 opportunities for the Astros. What about you? That would put you. You have Yankees Astros, and you predicted
Yeah.
NLCS.
Um, I have Astros in 5. I agree they'll win. I don't really see a sweep. I think the Yankees will at least get one. I'm gonna give them 2 just to give them benefit of the doubt. Astros in 5.
Okay. Um, so we'll get to the World Series in just a second, but let's go to the National League side. The Nationals and the Dodgers, home field to the Dodgers. Let me put it this way: if the Dodgers don't win, they have some serious postseason issues. Okay, some serious postseason issues. I got the Dodgers in 4. What about you?
Yep, I have the Dodgers in 3. It's a sweep, George. Bring it out. Bring out the mop. Bring out the
Wow.
broom.
Bring out the brooms. Go sweep, sweep, sweep all the way back to Washington D.C. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, And in the other NLDS, you got the Cardinals and the Braves. Home field goes to Atlanta. For me, this series points towards an upset, but I just think the Braves are a different team than in years past and other postseasons. They just are good. This is kind of reminding me of that team that went to the World Series a few years ago. So give me Atlanta. I'll take them in 4 games. What about you?
I'm actually going with the Cardinals. I think St. Louis is going to be dancing. I got them in 5.
Wow. So I guess
Yep.
sort of an upset,
Yep.
if you would. Okay, okay.
Just gotta be. It's
So
gotta be one.
that would put you with St. Louis and the Dodgers as your
Correct.
NLCS, and who goes to the World Series on the National League side?
The Dodgers do.
How many games?
6. I think it'll be kind of close.
Okay. And do you think that's just because of pitching, or do you think the Cardinals just don't have enough depth there?
I don't think the Cardinals have enough depth.
Okay. Yeah, for me, same thing. Dodgers get to their third straight World Series, and actually, I think they get there in 6 games also over the Braves. The Braves are good, just Dodgers are better. Pitching, I'd give the advantage to pitching, and as we know, pitching wins championships. Just go ask the Astros in 2017. So that would put your World Series and my World Series, actually, as both Dodgers Astros, which I think is a very popular pick this season. We've seen it before. We've seen this story before. We know how it ends. Um, because we know how it ends, I feel like there doesn't need to be an alternative ending. I got the Astros, and it doesn't take 7 games this time, though. I got the Astros in 5. So that would be 11 wins in 12 games this season, this postseason. So Astros win their second ring. What about you, Desmond?
Well, George, LA's been living it up. Nah, they got LeBron last year. They got rid of LeBar. They got Anthony Davis. On the other side, they got Kawhi. They got Paul George. The Rams are 3-1. But the Dodgers aren't gonna. The Dodgers aren't gonna live it up. Astros in 6. Houston will be celebrating again this year.
Wow. At one point, I thought you were going to pick the. I thought you were going to go with the L.A. with the City of Angels. There, you were
Nope.
doing like a Lee Corso
Hey.
where you were leading one direction and you just went, "Psych, not today."
Exactly, George.
What's the advantage for the Astros here? What do you think? What gives them their second ring
For
in
me,
this situation?
for me, the experience. They're already winners, and the pitching. Pitching's just insane.
I would second that, but I also think that pitching wins you a championship, but hitting wins you games. Home runs wins you series, but pitching wins you championships. So I think the Astros are able to they're so good on all 3 fronts, hitting, home runs, and pitching, that's a complete team. And the Dodgers are still going to be searching for their World Series ring. And sorry to Hunter, our good friend Hunter, who's always been a big fan of the show, who's a big Dodgers fan. he's going to be left searching for another ring because
Mm.
another season that goes down the wayside. So, Hunter, if you're listening to this, Astros win, Dodgers lose. All right, moving into back into college football. So those are our postseason predictions. Last year we were pretty good on postseason predictions. I know that Desmond picked the Red Sox to win the whole thing, and they did win the whole thing.
Last year, yes, sir.
I believe I had Braves Astros in the World Series, so that was a hot take, and that didn't look well. That was a take that didn't go the right way. And Desmond, I think you actually had the Dodgers Red Sox in the World Series. I want to say
Yeah, I did.
last year. So you were right on the money. So focus on Desmond's predictions, not mine for baseball. Even though
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the expert in baseball, but apparently not when it comes to postseason. All right. Big games of the week. We got 10 minutes to do these so we can keep you at a 45-minute podcast. So, Desmond, you are 2-2 on your upset watch after
Whoa.
after a phenomenal upset win last week. So you got the Arizona State Sun Devils over the Cal
Yes,
Golden
sir.
Bears.
I called it. I told you what was going to happen, and you didn't believe me.
Neither did Sam Kahn there. He thought you were crazy as well, but Desmond put all the haters aside and got that upset win. As for me, I lost my second, or no, I lost my second win or second loss of the season, as the USC did not even come close to beating Washington. Should have known that. Should have gone with something else. But we both have 2 losses on the year. Desmond's sitting at 2-2. I'm sitting at 3-2, courtesy of that upset pick that Desmond did not pick this week or that episode that he was not on. So we're both looking for opportunities to not get our 3rd loss of the year. And Desmond, let's start with the College Game Day game of the week, as the Auburn Tigers take on the 10th-ranked Florida Gators in this top 10 showdown in Gainesville. I mean, the Gus Bus, as they're calling the Auburn team, the Gus Bus, rolls into Gainesville with a mission. The Dan Mullen Express looks to counter that mission with his freshman quarterback. They got everything to gain, nothing to lose. This is not my upset pick, but my cousin Edward Parkhill, I know we have lots of family. He's recovering from a surgery that he had, a freak accident. So, Edward, Gators are going to win this one for you. I got the Florida Gators, 34, Auburn 30. Shock the world, but not my upset. That will be coming later. What about you, Desmond?
Yeah, I'm about to go the other way. I'm sorry to your relative. I'm going to have to go with the Auburn Tigers, 24-13.
Ooh, so pretty big.
11
points. That's pretty
11?
big in a top 10 showdown.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
That game's on CBS at 2:30. Auburn is a 2.5-point favorite, so look for that game to be close most of the game, unlike Desmond's prediction. He's always wrong.
Okay.
I can't say that though, because Desmond went 7-2 last week. So our guest Sam Kahn went 5-4, and I went 6-3. So maybe Desmond is right most of the time. He's just better at making predictions. All right. So Desmond, I have a question for you. Are you a fan of Texas Fight, or are you a fan of Country Roads?
Well, I would be more of a fan of Country Roads, but we all know who's going to win this game.
Okay. And I would say the same. I personally like John Denver. He's got some good songs. Calypso's on the dark horse of one of his better songs. But I feel like the Longhorns I feel like the Longhorns though have to win this game to put all the eyes of Texas on in the rest of the nation on the Red River Showdown next week against Oklahoma. So this is kind of going to be treated as a business trip to Morgantown. Fourth quarter comeback by the West Virginia Mountaineers makes it close, but I got the Longhorns. Gosh, that hurts to say that. 45-42. Desmond, go for it.
I wish I could show you my screen, George. But yeah, I'll send it to you later. There's this meme of this cat, and he's singing West Virginia. But Texas, I don't think it's gonna be close, George. I think Texas is gonna win this 51-38.
Do you think game day goes to the Red River shootout next week?
I hope so. Be a good game.
We'll see. we'll see. But that Texas West Virginia game is again another 2:30 matchup. This time on ABC, and Texas is a 10-point favorite. So really, Vegas is looking really big on Texas. All right. Somehow Tulane and the Green Wave have captured the hearts of the nation. All right. They're 3-1. Army's 3-1. This game just it has a good vibe to it. It's like you're watching one of those games and you're just like, I don't want one of these teams to lose, but just got a good like vibe. And I feel like the Tulane that can compete with anybody. And pardon my pun here, but they roll and wave goodbye. Roll and wave goodbye to the Army Black Knights. I've got the Tulane Green Wave, 37-28. Desmond?
Yeah, sorry, just okay. I have Army in this game, 17-10.
Is that your upset, or you just picking Army?
No, I'm just picking Army. That's not my upset yet.
Okay. But you do think low scoring?
Yes, low scoring.
Okay. Yeah, Tulane is a 2.5-point favorite, and they as they travel to New York for an 11 a.m. kick against the CBS on CBS Sports Network. I'm sorry, not against CBS, so on CBS Sports Network. All right, next game that we've got is, and we're going to try to go a little bit more rapid fire here, is as I see the meme there, beautiful. Has been the beautiful West Virginia meme. Let's get back to work here, though, Desmond. As we get another top 25 showdown between the Michigan State Spartans. I almost called them Wolverines. I am so sorry, Michigan State. Michigan State Spartans traveled to Columbus to the Horseshoe to face off against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Another overqualified team in the form of Michigan State saying, "Oh, we can beat them. We can beat the Ohio State Buckeyes. Take on the Buckeyes. Same storyline, same result. Ohio State won't face the challenger until Wisconsin." Vegas is Ohio State's 20-point favorite. I think Michigan State will cover, but only by 2. I've got Ohio State 48, Michigan State 20. Go for it, Desmond.
I think Ohio State's going to win outright. Ohio State's going to win 42-17.
All right, that game is on at 6:30 p.m. on ABC. All right, let's just go rapid fire here. California at 13th ranked Oregon. Ducks are trying to keep their winning streak alive. This is a primetime game on Fox. It could be an upset, but I don't have it as an upset. I got Oregon 35-28. Desmond, go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I just have a feeling Oregon's going to win this one 24-21.
And we go to the Big Ten battle of the week as the 14th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes take on the 19th ranked Michigan Wolverines in Ann Arbor at the Big House. Iowa hasn't won there since 2010, but they've won 2 straight over Michigan. Vegas says that Michigan's a 3.5-point favorite, even though they're the 19th ranked. For me, because it is a Vegas favorite, I'm taking the Iowa Hawkeyes. I'm calling it my upset. 31-21. Desmond, what about you?
Oh, dang. Well, is it upset based off Vegas or upset based off rankings? Because this was to be my upset.
It's upset off of what you want to make it off of.
Okay, because I was going based off rankings, and I had Michigan winning this 35-34.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. We both have our own upsets. If we're going rankings or Vegas, either way, So I guess we'll both be watching that game and hoping one team wins, because you got Michigan and I've got Iowa. So that game is on Fox in their big noon kickoff at 11 a.m. Central Time from Ann Arbor. All right, we've got 2 left here. Air Force and Navy. The battle for the Commander-in-Chief trophy starts this week with the first Saturday in October rivalry as the Air Force Falcons take on the Navy Midshipmen. Sounds so American, right? Sounds so go America, right? Just like, do I have to pick a winner? I mean, it's just America, right? Go USA. But Falcons hold the all-time edge. Give me the Air Force Falcons, 33-19. Go for it, Desmond.
I actually had Navy win this one 10-3.
Ooh, low score.
Yep, low scoring game.
Explain quickly.
Just a feeling, gut feeling, to be honest.
Okay. Uh, Air Force is a 3.5 point favorite and a 2:30 kick from Annapolis, Maryland. All right, final game before we get to our scary good game. Pittsburgh and Duke. This is an ACC battle. Both teams have kind of been interestingly good. But Pitt has won 5 of the last 6 matchups between these two teams, make it 6 of the last 7. I've got Pittsburgh winning 27-22 over the Duke Blue Devils.
I agree. Pittsburgh's going to win this one, 21-7.
Yeah, that game's at 7 p.m. on ACC Network, which means that both of us probably won't be able to watch it because ACC Network rarely exists in the state of Texas. So Duke's a 4.5 point favorite, so we both be taking the underdog. Speaking of underdogs, we both did not do very well against the spread this last week, as BYU did not cover. Come on, BYU, you should have covered against Toledo. Either way, our scary good game this week is Baylor and Kansas State. Kansas State is a 1.5 point favorite at home. That's essentially a pick'em game. That's a game where you're just. Yeah. And for that, I'm taking Baylor. The points, and the outright win. Get back on the board and get a win against the spread. I got Baylor outright.
Well, I didn't mean to copy you again, George, but that's exactly what I was going to say.
Baylor outright and the points?
Yep.
I just don't understand why Kansas State's a favorite here. Baylor's 4-0, exactly. Kansas State 3-1 with a loss to Oklahoma State. I just don't see it. That game's on 2:30 p.m. on ESPN2 in Manhattan, Kansas. All right, and to wrap it up, because we need to ring the bell on our podcast ending here, as we've reached the 45-minute mark. Wyoming got a big win. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you're a huge Wyoming Cowboys fan, Desmond, but the Wyoming Cowboys got a big win over UNLV, 53-17. I want you to see if you can top that with your small school. It was in the cold too. They had like 400 passing or total yards, maybe even more than that, which is big in the cold. I got to go find a shirt because we got a big showdown with San Diego State Aztecs showing up in 2 weeks. Right now, I get to sit back, bye week for the Wyoming Cowboys and the Aggies, so I get to sit back, enjoy myself. Let's hear about Houston Cougars, even though they're not a small school.
Okay, let's calm down. They did beat your old small school, who you left 46-25 without their starting quarterback.
Maybe there's a reason why I left the North Texas Wolverines.
And they will be playing at Cincinnati next week, so that should be a tough game.
They're on bye week, though, this week, right?
Yes, but the next game will be against Cincinnati.
Okay. I feel you. So as they try to get Clayton Tune some more touches in that game, is that what you're saying? Hopefully, see if he can't go to 2-0 as a starter. I think he's like the 5th starter to ever do that in college football history, to start his first two ever starts as a true freshman, which would be like Bo Nix. Bo Nix would have been the first this season. He might be the second. So as we hit a close on episode number 6 of the second season and episode number 26 as a whole, we thank you for listening. We'll be back next week, hopefully with a guest, as we discuss A&M Alabama in full detail as we look forward to that matchup. We look at Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and much more. So signing off from College Station and from Lubbock, I am George Koff from College Station. For my friend in Lubbock,
Desmond McLaughlin,
saying so long from the Fifth Quarter podcast, and take care.